Hello guys, and welcome to a new Star Division 2 video today by me, Vulcan. In this one I have for you a 1 vs 1 on Brest West, and I'm going to be up against Badgerjelly once again, as this is game 2 of round 1 in the Star Division League, Season 9, Division 3. I am in Division 3. So if you missed the first game, make sure to go back and check it out if you don't want spoilers. And that is your spoiler warning, because I won the first game. So this time around, I'm going into this, I'm feeling very confident. The first map was very convincing. I was happy playing Vanguard. I think I picked a good map or a good division for the map. And this time around, I've ended up with the first Polish on Brest West, which I think again is a good sort of place to be. I'm very confident with the first Polish. I have won games with it in the Star Division League in the past. So coming into this, I was very happy to be on the first Polish in this game, and I've opted for the Vanguard deployment type once again. I'm going to be up against Badgerjelly. He has opted to play with the 6th Airborne with the Maverick deployment type. So let's have a quick look at what I'm getting down here. On the left side, I've got some flamers, I've got the PTRS squads, I've also got the leader there, some 45mm AT guns, a 37mm AA, the SG-57, and the Zbuczyn rocks. So the idea of the AA early on, the 37, is that he's playing the 6th, and most of their power comes from their aircraft, things like the Tempest bombers, and also the Mosquito Pathfinder early on, like the Napalm. I did get a bit of a heads up that Badgerjelly was looking to cheese, so when he had the 6th Airborne, I kind of semi-knew what to expect. I was really expecting him to napalm in this position on the left. Anyway, in the mid, I've got some more flamers, more PTRS. I've also got a Maxim there, 45mm AT guns, and the 37, but here comes the Mosquito. It's going to be napalming this road. So what I decided to do is just kind of like cut across there with the PTRS squad. Meanwhile, on the right, I am moving up with these PTRS to get into position to snipe some of his transports. Also got a leader that's going to be getting on top of this flag, and the flamer that's going to be trying to go aggressive. Got another Mosquito coming in. It's a little bit late. Almost takes out my Zbuczyn rocks, but I managed to unload those in time, get them into cover, and it hasn't really lost me much ground there since this one cut across regardless. 45mm AT guns are trying to get into position across the board. My PO2 is giving me recon information on what's coming in the middle. So it looks like Badgerjelly, what he tried to do, or what he is trying to do, is use these flames here to get an advantage in the center, but I'm able to get 2 transport kills, which halves the health on both of his air landing. My PTRS here forces his flamethrowers to unload as well, but I've got a bit of a disadvantage here because he's got 2 flamethrowers and I've only got 1. So my squad will lose out and my leader's in a bit of a bad position. But what I'm going to be doing, since I can see the 2 Tetrarchs and the Tetrarch Little John, I've got the PO2 flying right above it, and I'm bringing in the IL-2 cluster plane. I'm going to be trying to micro this to kill as many as I can in one run, and I managed to put it just right so that I can kill 2 of his Tetrarchs. He did try and split 3 ways, but I managed to pick up a couple of them, so I was pretty happy with that. But the double AB flamethrower are going to be taking out my flamethrower without taking any losses themselves. My 45mm taking a bit of a beating from the air landing. And my poor leader here is in a very, very bad spot. So off to an interesting start in the middle, but I have good positions elsewhere. I've got my PTRS in here, for example, with the flamer holding that flag. I've got this well under control. The mid is obviously not great right now, and he's also got these M1 howitzers helping pin down the AT gun and forcing that back. And on the left, I'm pretty happy that I've taken this flag as well, with the 2 flamer squads and the Zbuczyn rocks. I've also got the 45mm AT guns sitting up on the ridges. And I know that in the early game with the 6th Airborne, he's going to have primarily Tetrarchs. I was really worried about a Tetrarch or like Daimler Rush early on. So I opted to go for lots of 45mm AT guns. You can see I've brought in 5 of them at the start. I actually brought in 6 total because there was one here as well. So I was really worried about his light armor push. because that was the other play that he could have made with the 6th Airborne other than the Pathfinder. So I brought in double 37mm AA, I brought in 6 37mm or 45mm AT guns. Unfortunately, I'm kind of paying for it here because the 37mm is going to get taken out by the Ox and Bucks. But my Su-57, I've drove that back from the left-hand side into a position where I can cover the road against the Tetrarchs. Meanwhile, I'm going to be taking the opportunity to bomb his M1 howitzers because the PO2 before has just been flying around the whole time, not contested by any AA. So I'm very happy to just bomb away. And I'm also going to now be strafing the second one over here, which I can see with the PO2. So these both now have strafing orders to go kill the M1 howitzer. After bombing, I believe I bombed the infantry here. But Tetrarch Little John almost kills my Su-57. I got the first shot off though, so I managed to get the second shot first as well. And thankfully my Su-57 hit the mark. We're going to be able to take out that M1 howitzer, or at least try. The Tempest does come in though to try and intercept me, but I get my IL-2 onto his tail, and goodbye Tempest early on. That is a big loss for him. He does not want to be losing those fighter bombers as they are very strong, but the assistance of my 37 plus the IL-2 does pay off. He has brought in his own AA now, a Tripolston that's shooting my IL-2, and I'm going to be losing that. So I'm not too disappointed about losing the IL-2, like it does suck, but at the same time killing one of his Tempests was really, really good for me. The mid is still wildly out of control. My Flamer squad's trying to engage the air landing here. I'm going to force him back out of line of sight. I was a little bit worried about continuing that engagement, but going to be trying to get a little bit more damage. I don't want to lose the Flamer squad here though, because otherwise he could potentially get this flag, so I end up just stopping it where it is after his air landing fallback, and that's just going to leave me in position there. And Su-57 now going to be just trying to get it up onto this hill so that I can keep engaging these Tetrarchs as they come up, and my Streltsy and the Saboteur going to be continuing to clean out the rest of the infantry here. But I am still losing this flag, but I would say overall, you know, I've traded pretty well. I killed his M1 howitzer here. I don't believe I didn't kill the one on the left in the end, like I left that on 1 health. I maybe could have committed the second IL-2 to kill it, but I think committing for the Tempest instead was a better idea, and then removing that threat, which would have been a threat for the rest of the game early on, is really good. So yeah, again, Su-57 doing a good job here. Meanwhile, Saboteur going to be finding and killing air landing on the left. Really good matchup for the Saboteur, that is. We've got 4 submachine guns, which are PPSHs, plus the SVTs, plus the flamethrower. Meanwhile, Mosquito coming in, going to be trying to burn up my Saboteur there. And I've got the double Yak 1 coming in onto the back of this Mosquito Pathfinder as it goes for my Saboteur and the Streltsy. So Tetrarch does take out my Su-57. I'm forced to unload the Streltsy SVT early on. Meanwhile, this T-34 is looking for the kill onto the Tetrarch, and I unload these Streltsy SVT as my Saboteur come in for the air landing. I'm also going to be using the double Yak 1 to try and strafe. So keeping these alive, pretty important. They can be nice for this ground strafing fire support. They're not going to pin too much, but they're going to do a little bit extra damage. But with the Tripolston firing at that, I'm going to have to evac it. So get it out of there. Need to make sure that I have them ready for the next time the Mosquito Pathfinders come in, or any other like Mosquito Bombers or Tempests or whatever. I want to make sure that I have those available. So I'm going to be taking them out of there now. Saboteur can be found by the Ox and Bucks here, so they're going to have to fall back on the right hand side. And this T-34 is looking to clean up the Tetrarch here, whilst also engaging the Tetrarch up on the hill. I'm going to be moving the 45mm AT gun over to help engage that. They both fire at the same time. I believe the T-34 got the kill. Since these are light tanks, it only takes really 1 shot from the T-34 to get the job done. IL-2 on the left, getting hit by the Tripolston pretty hard. So goes in for the kill there with the cluster, but since it's nice and spread for him, it doesn't do too much damage. So his Tetrarch's going to stay alive, but this Tetrarch's going to go down to the T-34, and I'm now looking for whatever's left up here. Meanwhile, the Descents with the Molotovs trying to get into cover. air landing are moving in to cover themselves, but I do have the Streltsy SVT and the Shchedrin there. On the right hand side, my Shchedrin got pushed out into the open, so the double Ox and Bucks plus the Vickers HMG took it out. And now we're going to be having this engagement, which is good for my Sappergir because they do have the SVTs and the double DP, so it works out nicely. Here comes the Tempest looking for my PO2. It's going to be going after my Yak, or like one of my Yaks actually recovered really fast. I managed to get enough damage done that the 37 is going to be hitting that. I was really just like fingers crossed that that would get shot down, and the last shot there, probably before it would have got out, gets the job done. So second Tempest taken out. Really, really important kills. Ox and Bucks on this side approaching my Flamer squad. Check out this little play. So the Flamer opens up. They're already a little bit pinned. They're going to be firing back. They're going to throw the HE. I'm going to let it land. And then I'm going to be able to jump back in. And we're able to get the surrender there due to the 45mm helping pin them down in the meantime. And I don't even lose the Flamer squad. Really, really nice. PO2 getting forced back by the Tripolston. I can see that quite nicely. I've also managed to find and kill off the AB flamethrower here that was causing a little pocket of resistance. But it's currently 13 to 11, and we're getting to the end of Phase A. So, this game a lot closer than the last one. It definitely wasn't a good position for me to be in. You know, in Phase A with Vanguard, you want to be able to get ahead enough that you can capitalize on your advantage in the beginning of Phase B, and then utilize that to win the game. But at the moment, you know, I'm only one flag up, and I'd barely taken any tickets off him because I'd never been at a double tick due to his aggressive start. So I'm still trying to like capitalize on my income at this point, and I need to try and find as much of an advantage as I can. I brought in triple 82mm mortar to try and deal with the Tripolston so that I can utilize the IL-2 to bomb the air landing, which will then allow the Flamer to surrender them, or at least capture the flag. So this will be my 15 to 9 if I capture it. And I think the IL-2 just straight up kills the squad, so I'm quite happy to just leave my Flamers there and hold that point. Sappergir Rock's going to be engaging AB Paras at a distance with the Polish infantry. I'm pretty sure that there isn't a unit the Brits have that are better than mine. Like even the Streltsy SVT with the 7 SVT-40 is probably better than like their AB Paras. And like my Sappergir Rocks, even with like, yeah, they're a close range infantry squad, but they have 5 SVTs and 2 double DP, which is better than the 4 Lee Enfields and the 1 Bren that the air landing have, for example. So overall, I am going to have that like ranged advantage against his infantry. The main thing that he can utilize is if he had like Canadian Paras, then he can use the Willy Pete, basically, which is like equivalent to a Molotov, to try and push me out of close range. Now the SVT going to be engaging the Polston. I've got the mortar fire coming in on that as well, hoping to be able to kill the Polston there. He comes in with the Tempest bombing strike onto my T-34. Mosquito tries to head on my Yak, but since the Tripolston's pinned, he's not going to be able to complete that kill, whilst I'm going to be able to complete the kill with the 37mm AA. And again, the early AA investment seems to be paying off. Tripolston goes down to the T-34 in the end. That Mosquito somehow getting out alive. Su-85 is going to be finding line of sight onto the Tetrarch. These Tetrarchs, only 1,250 meter range, so my Su-85 pretty safe in its engagement range there. I've kind of got stuck moving a little bit because of the Streltsy LKM moving by. But going to be able to take its time, get the shot on target, and miss. It's a 2-star Su-85 at that distance, probably at about 80% penetrate or 80% hit chance, and make sure to miss that one. Sappergir Rock's engaging the Ox and Bucks. I'm still getting hit by the enemy artillery here. He's now going for the 37mm. Those M1 howitzers, though, without radio help, are kind of bad. So you can see the dispersion is absolutely huge. But if he gets a shot on target, it can do a decent amount of damage. I also had a Zis-3 now come up here. You can see I hadn't unloaded it. This is one thing that I really need to improve in my game, is using the unload at position command when I bring stuff in, rather than just like left clicking on the map. I need to learn to left click, press unload at position, and then left click, so that in this area, like, this would be ready to shoot anything that's coming down this road, rather than me just like being semi AFK there. But IL-2 going to be coming in with the strike onto the Cromwell. He in the meantime comes in with a Typhoon onto my T-34, but I'm looking for the second Cromwell here. This time though, the Tripolston is ready, so whilst I am going to hit his Cromwell pretty hard, it's definitely not going to be getting the kill, and the Tripolston in that position is going to be able to do a lot of damage. I would be lucky if that gets out alive, and well, some of the luck lands back in my favour, so that was good. IL-2 going to survive this one. M1 howitzer reveals itself, going to be trying to kill that with the 82mm mortars. Meanwhile, in the close range, my Zbuczyn had to fall back, so it did allow some of his infantry to move forwards, but I brought in a reinforcing unit of descents. I've also got a couple of these infantry guns here that should be unloaded. Another example of like a similar situation to the Zis-3. Streltsy going to get hit hard by off-map now. I was in a really good position here in this town, because that's giving me the 16-8, which is double ticking. But his off-map does hit very well, and if he just like reinforces that with a bit of infantry, gets Cromwell over there, he's going to be able to clear me out. AB Paras at close range, engaging the Mirtad there. But now with the descents coming in, the 2-vet with the leader, definitely helping in that engagement. T-34-76 in the meantime, taking out the Vickers. Cromwell goes down to my Su-85 that was sitting up on the hill. He is going to be bringing in his infantry now, but my infantry is still very much pinned from that off map. Also, he's got a bit of his howitzer coming in. Bombing strike from the Tempest, trying to kill my T-34-76. Doesn't quite succeed in doing so. My 37 just a little bit out of line of sight right now, and also on a load command to the Stintbeck. I must have misclicked that. But I had this 37 moving around this area a lot, so it wasn't vulnerable to enemy artillery. So Tempest coming in there. Going to be going for the Zis-3. A little bit of a greedy play from Badgerjelly is going to allow my Yak to get on his tail and shoot him down. So another Tempest taken care of, and that's going to be the third one taken out. Meanwhile, on the right hand side, he's running some transports into my PTRS. I managed to take 4 men away from each of these squads. Really nice. That's like the big change with the PTRS. Beforehand, that would have been 3 dead infantry squads completely, but now, since the patch that changed the way that PTRSs work, and AT rifles in general, they only damage part of the squad, which is more realistic, obviously. So those are all going to be alive, but it is easy kills for the double 250 kilogram bombs in my IL-2s, so I'm going to be bringing those in instead to just try and clean that up. Meanwhile, Typhoon coming in for the Su-85 with the Mosquito flying overhead. Not much of a chance of me hiding that, but I do get away with keeping it alive. Split the bombing strikes so that they are a little bit more effective. Unfortunately, didn't get the bombing strike into these Canadian Paras because of the smoke, but I do manage to bomb the others and pin those down in the meantime. I've also got an Su-76 up on the hill now that's going to be trying to help support, and I've got some more Streltsy on the way. No idea where this is going. I didn't even notice that during the game. Shameful display. Alright, Streltsy OKM going to be engaging the airborne Canadian Paras and the normal AB Paras. They do get pinned, which isn't ideal. And then these guys are also going to end up getting pinned. They're just outnumbered at range. But my 50 cal half track going to be rolling up. What I decide to do is just unload my descents into the cover here, and then push forwards onto all of these units with my 50 cal half track. He started to fall back though, so not going to really be able to follow up on that because of this Cromwell on the road. Meanwhile, on the left, Slutsk managed to get out of there. Managed to pin down the airborne Canadian Paras with the M3A1, so get the surrender, clean out those 2 units, which is good. But I'm still under a lot of pressure on the right hand side, so on the left I decide to make an attack, and you can see I brought up some sapeurs to accompany my forces in making a little bit of a push whilst I try and deal with things on the right hand side. I've got the Zbuczyn actually doing a relatively good job of engaging the airborne Canadian Paras. My Su-76 did die, but the 45mm providing good fire support from the hill. The Tankos coming in to help as well with the 50 cal half track. And all I've really got to do here is just prevent this push from getting through. And I'm still in a really strong position elsewhere on the map. Like, I've managed to stay here, control this flag. I managed to push the infantry out of here, which is going to allow me to put pressure back onto the town. So, whilst this was a very, very intense game, much more intense than the last, I was like relatively happy with how I'd traded so far. I've taken out the airborne Canadian Paras on the right hand side. Mosquitoes coming in. Off map's going to be coming down onto my position here, doing lots of damage. Hits the descents, hits the Zbuczyn, and kills the half track. Bombing strike goes for the T-34 in the meantime. I've got mortar fire coming down onto the infantry here to try and stop the infantry squad that he's moved in to try and contest my flamers. But the M3A1 going to go down to the 6-pounder. That was unfortunate. I'm going to use the ZIS-3 to try and hit whatever that was. I think it may be the AA or something. And then 82mm mortar is going to be going for that. T-34 is also going to be able to get a shot in there. But yeah, my flamer did die. I do have the Sapeur rocks moving across though, so that's okay. Meanwhile, on the right-hand side, the Cromwells being scary. Like, these Cromwells, they are fast now. They've got the... I can't see it because of all of the planes that I've got. But they are like 60 km/h on road speed now or something. So, super, super fast. They can exploit breakthroughs very, very easily. Killing the AT gun on the left, though, does open up this flag for me. And my Sapeur rocks should be able to beat any infantry that are in there, in that engagement, or in that, like, close range cover there. So, yeah. My double T-34 going to be going for the engagement with the Cromwell. Big advantage for me here because I've got 90mm of frontal armor, whilst he only has 70mm of frontal armor and 90mm of penetration, so he's not really able to penetrate my T-34s at a distance. So I'm just free shooting his Cromwell there. Air landing on the left, going to be going down to the Sapeur, and I'm going to be moving my T-34 up to help engage there, and that's going to give me the flag up on the hill. So I'm controlling this left flag, and this flag now, whilst he's continuing to make ground on the right hand side. ZIS-3 going to be engaging the Canadian Paras, try and take those out with the help of the Zbuczyn RKM. His grenadiers get left out in the open, so I'm going to be bringing in the IL-2s to try and bomb those. Still putting me under a lot of pressure here. The engineers coming in with the airborne Canadian Paras. Like, I did manage to take back this little area, which stops him taking the flag further back. But with the off map coming down, he is getting a little bit of ground. So bombing strike going to be coming in, taking out those Grens. Going to be pinning down the second squad, which is good. And the Su-85 is going to be able to continue. But I'm kind of sick of this aircraft, so I opt to go for the double 37. And I brought in a leader with them, so they're going to have 2 vet each, and that's going to allow me to get rid of this recon and also force back some of his other attack aircraft on the right hand side so that I'm safe to bring in more reinforcements here. So more Zbuczyn RKM on the way. T-34 is committing with the engagement on the Centaur because the Centaur doesn't have any form of AT, so that was good. Mosquito does go down, which is good, takes away his recon. Meanwhile, on the left, Zbuczyn LKM, Sapeur moving up, taking lots of ground there. My Zviad, they did fire, unfortunately. It made them get found. They were providing me with great recon information on the right hand side for a very long time, but unfortunately it didn't last because they fired. I should have probably turned off the weapons or made sure they were on return fire. They might have already been on return fire, but they might have just got spotted. Anyway, there is a Daimler Little John now zooming up But my T-34 going to be sneaking out of cover, killing the Cromwell 5, so that was really good. At close range, my Streltsy LKM trying to use the PTRD to kill the Little John. They only have to land like 3 shots on target in order to kill that. So, unfortunately bouncing that shot. But the Streltsy LKM really doing a great job killing off this infantry. Su-57 is going to be able to pick off the airborne engineers. And I tell you what, this Su-57 is like the perfect thing for me to have to kill his Little Johns. Like, it's going to take a couple shots, but this Su-57 has like 12 round per minute rate of fire. So he's able to shoot at those well out of range. So 1,500 meter range versus the 1,000 meter range of the Daimler Little John. I've got 500 meters to make sure that's dead before it gets too close. A shoot a kill on my T-34, I believe, was caused by one of the Daimler Little Johns. Su-85 plus the Zis-3 going to be engaging the ones at close range here. Unfortunately, Su does go down, and enemy artillery coming in does hit my Zis-3. But those Daimler Little Johns, they can't shoot back at Zis-3s. They have no HE on the main gun. They would have to use their machine guns and get really close. My 2 T-34s are trying to engage this Daimler Little John, but getting shot at by the 6-pounder and the 17-pounder, so having a little bit of trouble, but still developing my salient on the left-hand side. And I believe Badgerjelly got a little bit tunneled on the right here. And yeah, that just allowed me to push all the way up. I'm putting pressure even onto this flag now on the left-hand side. I've got the Sabotage running forwards to try and cap that spawn, because if I manage to cap the spawn here, then he's going to have to use this road to take back the hill, which is very difficult. Su-57 still providing extra HE fire support. I've also got another Su-57 up on this hill. I've also got T-34-76 Recon as well. The Recon T-34-76 super important just to give me a little bit extra firepower against these Daimlers, because the Daimlers can get close enough and kill the Su-57s pretty easily. And they will penetrate a T-34-76, but T-34-76 definitely going to one-shot those. The Sabotage rocks getting through here, killing the enemy infantry, pinning them, and getting the surrender. And then the M1 howitzer going to be found, putting MG fire onto that, get rid of that extra support. And you can see the Sabotage on the left-hand side in the meantime did manage to capture the land spawn. So that was a big, big win for me on the left. Mosquito's going to be taking the full brunt of that napalm. But I am a bit worried about the Little Johns right now. Going to be getting my 37s though to engage the Tempests. Force that back before it can bomb the Su-57. Little John going to be coming around trying to get the kill. Did manage to kill my T-34. I managed to kill one of the Daimlers. Going to be bringing up 2 more to help me out. But I've got a lot of aircraft, as you can see. So I've still got tons of points invested in my air. And we're in a really good position here, because Streltsy LKM killing the transport and the infantry squad straight after is going to give me this flag as well. The Centaur has come up. All I've got to do really is hide from that. Meanwhile, the Streltsy LKM can deal with the Daimler for me. Now 2 minutes left on the clock. Things looking pretty dire for Badgerjelly. I managed to trade pretty well throughout. Now the IL-2's coming in again for the bombing strikes. I've also got the Yaks coming in. And these are specifically here to distract the AA, but I also end up seeing the Typhoon. So, going to be going for the Typhoon, managed to force that back. Got the IL-2s coming in for the bombing strikes onto the Ox and Bucks and onto the 17-pounder. Both of those completely whiffed their shot for some reason, even though they were directly targeted. It was really weird. I don't know what happened there. You can see the bombs landed like here and here. Like, I should have probably manually fire positioned them to make sure they got the kill, but those 2 IL-2s completely drunk. Look at them. Like, what are you doing? Too much vodka. Anyway, Yaks coming in with the 17-pounder strafe there. Unfortunately, a little bit too late to stop them killing the Su-57. But now 50 seconds left on the clock. Streltsy LKM still dealing with the AB Paras nicely there. And it's going to be very difficult for him to push out the Sabotage. So I was relatively happy with how this was going. I've also got a lot of these like support weapons moving forwards now on the left hand side. but still strafing the 17-pounder. Like, I have killed off his Tripolstons on the right side now, so it's pretty much open for my air. And if there's one thing that the 1st Polish is really good at, it's having a lot of IL-2s. So the 2 250-kilogram bombs, smashing that to pieces. Strafing runs of the Yak 1s coming back in. Looking for the AB howitzer. Just getting that pinned down so it stops firing at my Staraki. And that's going to be victory. After 28 minutes and 25 seconds. So the Vanguard actually coming up clutch in a different way this time around, because whilst I didn't capture the flags early on, I traded very well in the early game. And taking down a couple of his Tempests really made it difficult for him. Because if he manages to build up the Tempests early on and get like lots of value out of them over the course of the game, this can look very different. Because he can bring them in all at once. And then the 37s kind of struggle to stop them from getting their targets, and then we'll struggle to actually find the kills unless I overinvest into AA, like I did towards the end there, where I bought both of the AA pieces at the same time and a leader to make sure they were 2 vet, just so that I could shut down the air. But even if he had like more than 2 Tempests coming in at the same time, 2 of those will probably drop their bombs, and I will be forced to focus one of them to just try and shoot them down. And so that can really become a problem in the late game, but managing to pick off the Tempests early on with the use of my AA, my early buy of the AA plus the Yaks, worked out really nicely. And using the IL-2s as well to directly attack the Tempest really paid off there. So you can see it is 3,200 kills to 1,515 losses. Lots of value gained throughout the game, which really pushed to my advantage and allowed me to kind of crack open the left side whilst he invested into the right-hand side. The Stradzi LKM, basically all of my infantry, as I mentioned, is going to be his at range, other than maybe the Vickers HMGs if they're out of range. But if they are in range, then like the Stradzi have SVTs, which is why the 1st Polish is so strong. Like all of their infantry has SVTs, and yeah, it just makes their DPS and mid-range engagements really good. The T-34s kind of just outclassing the Cromwells and killing the Centaurs for me was really useful. His use of the Little Johns and the Tetrarchs was actually kind of scary. That was the thing that I was most worried about in this game, but didn't quite come through for Badgerjelly. I think maybe if he'd invested in those more early on and hit a really nice Pathfinder strike, then I would have been in a really different position. But I was surprised that he went for the napalm strikes that he did at the start. I think the left road on my left side would have been his best target, because it would have allowed him to contest my hill on the left side early on, which would have been really difficult to deal with, just like he did in the middle. But I think in the middle there's like less to gain an advantage from, because you end up being flanked from both sides. Whereas if you can control like one side of the map, then it's definitely a lot more helpful. And also that map, there is only one road that leads to the left side for me. So if he got napalm on that, I would be forced to be very slow to get in position, or he could have even like killed some units. But yeah. Anyway, nice try by Badgerjelly. Unfortunately, didn't pay off for him this time around. Really fun game though. Very tense game. It was a really tense game for me when I was playing this. I was like, oh, especially after like the first 10 minutes passed and I hadn't really got a significant advantage with Vanguard. That's when I was a bit like, oh no. But then I was kind of thinking to myself, well, I've been trading quite well, so maybe I can still get into this game in the mid game. Which kind of did come to fruition. I managed to get to that 15-9, maybe a bit late, but I got there. And then as long as I continue trading okay into the late game, I'm in a decent position. Because as soon as we move into phase C, I actually have the income advantage again. It's only 10 points, but still, it's an advantage overall, and can add up as the game goes longer. So yeah, I was relatively happy with how that went. Considering it was a double napalm start, and he capitalized on the middle position really well, but then we just traded it out and managed to push back. Great game. thank you very much to Badgerjelly for playing these 2 games. Of course, leaves me 2-0 up in the Star Division League, which is awesome, and gives me my first win. Yeah, really happy with that. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.